Today, I will be talking about how to transition from Excel to dashboards, presented by myself. My name is Michael Watkins, Senior Director of Information Technology with Competitive Solutions. All right, so with today's webinar series, today we're going to really focus on coming from your Excel and kind of elevating to the next step, which is dashboards. So as we get into this webinar, we'll talk about different things as far as the journey, getting to it, and how to transition to it to make success for yourself and your business. Microsoft Excel. Why do people use Excel in the first place today? Microsoft Excel pretty much is used to organize, format, and even calculate data, right? And it uses different formulas and different worksheets, as we're aware of. Majority of users today use Excel because it comes part of their Office suite. So majority of the people have Outlook, Word, and different programs and so forth. And they also have Microsoft Excel. When they have these programs, they kind of trend to use that or gravitate to use that, or this is something when they came to the organization, they've already used in the first place. Now, how are businesses using Excel today? Typically, if they're provided with any CSV files, text files, you can convert these into Excel. So that's why people like using it, because it's pretty easy to use. And also, too, to make it even a little more robust, if you have access to a database that stores the data, you can create the common connection to update indirectly, right? So you can have that in the background, which you have a lot of people have access databases, and they can have it where it pulls in the data to give you these charts and graphs or whatever. But this is only telling one part of the story, right? So Excel is just going to give you that immediate data with just those different numbers for that specific period and so forth, but that's not it. You know, there's more to it, right? There's more dynamicness to the actual chart itself. Once you have the data in Excel, and this is, once again, still how businesses are using this today, they have to clean it, standardize it, get it in a nice format, right? So you might have to do things as getting rid of trailing spaces, double spaces, remove any duplicates, remove blanks or any errors or whatever, just to get this pretty chart as we see here on the left-hand side, right? Sometimes you even need to restructure the data to get the actual look and feel that you need to have this presentation of the data that you want. And once again, it really depends on the scope of the project, because there are different users that have different expectations of how they want to see their data. And it could be something where it's just simple. Here's our number, here's our month, then that's it. All right. So we've all seen the different complexity of using Excel in today's workforce. Now, how are businesses taking their business to the next level, transitioning away from that? So today, traditionally, they use this as a spreadsheet tool. They're going to collect all the data, store it in different ways as far as the detail. But then, as you can look in this image here, and you're aware as well on this call, because we're all professionals, you're scrolling through tons of rows trying to find this data, or different workbooks, trying to figure what is what. So how many of you on the call have been to a meeting before? Someone's presented Excel, either you're glazing over, right, because there's just so much data coming at you, and they're going from tab to tab or worksheet to worksheet, trying to find this data to get to the point whether we're on track or not. So sometimes some people can't even find which workbook they even need to use. All right. And as I mentioned earlier, this is only going to tell part of your story. And a lot of times we see that customers, they have their data in a whole different tool. They use Excel just to track the numbers that they want, but then they have everything else in a totally different tool. So now I'm going to talk about what is a dashboard and how does it differ from an Excel report. So now we just talked about a little about the journey, right? Having Excel as a program, using it today, which we're all familiar with using it, because we've all used it in some capacity in our career. Now, how do you take that information and transition to a dashboard? And let's even understand what it is. So when we're looking here, let's understand what is a dashboard. Typically, a dashboard is going to be one pager, right? Just a one clean sheet that's going to help me give me the information. that's tracking the key KPIs, and it'll give us the information to make our decisions off. Right? So a dashboard is going to be that one pager that identifies the key metrics or KPIs that's going to give us that information. It's going to contain any charts, tables, views that are backed by the data. So that's the difference there, right? A dashboard is going to be directly linked to that data where you can click into it, drill down, see that information. When you have Excel, you're typically going to have some type of charts and tables and graphs and all that stuff in there just to get to the data and to see how it's backed in the system. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of a dashboard? The whole purpose of a dashboard is to have that data right there, right? So you can easily get to it, see details, see whether you're winning or losing right there with the click of a button. That is the whole point of having that in place. And also, too, it gives you the clarity that you need. So the biggest thing you want to do is, so not only we're on this call to learn about Excel, talking about transition from dashboards and stuff, but the first thing you want to do is you want to get clarity from the stakeholders of what they want to get the data, right? So this is going to be the number one thing. So on this webinar, not only are we getting information, but we're also getting some knowledge to go back with us to our different areas. So the first thing I want you guys to do is get clarity from what your stakeholders want. And your stakeholders can vary. This can be a user, this could be a manager, this could be a supervisor, this could be someone from the C-level staff. Just get the clarity from the stakeholders. Number two, be clear on what the purpose the dashboard needs to serve. Now that's key there. Be clear on what the purpose the dashboard needs to serve. Now, if it's just giving us a pulse of the business for a specific side of the business, then get those key KPIs. All right. Next one is track the KPIs. Just one, is it at one time or is it on a regular basis? So is it something that's going to come easy enough on this dashboard? So if so, you might not want to have it on a specific dashboard of like long-term projects, and then you might have some short-term projects. So if I was doing that, I would have two separate dashboards. Okay. And then also two, does it need to track the KPIs for the whole company or a specific division or team or area? So this is what I mean by getting that clarity from your stakeholders. So you know when you're making your dashboards, what information is needed. Next thing is to do is ask the right questions, right? And this will help you understand what data needs to go in the dashboard and even how to design the dashboard in the first place. Now, looking at the image that we see here, looking at the very first one, you see this is a team dashboard right here. It's highlighting 6 metrics. Now, we might not be able to see the actual details like close up, but at a high level, which is just what I want you guys to take away from this, is that we can see 6 key areas. We all can count and see that. And then we can see the trends of the data. We can't see the actual numbers, which is fine. But from a quick glance, we can see whether we're winning or losing. All right. By looking at the small little dials there, you can see your red and your green. So we can easily kind of determine what that information is. So that's kind of giving us that information that we can get the clarity on from our stakeholders, put it into a dashboard versus having different spreadsheets and tabs and rows of data and information for our organization. Looking at the next one, as you can see in the image, you can see 3 different columns. We have top performing metrics, showing us our top 3 metrics, maybe for the entire organization, or this could be specific to a division. So this is, once again, getting that clarity. Looking at the key metrics, right? So you got your top performing, then your key metrics could be key projects, key initiatives, whatever it may be. The next is going to be the metrics to watch. So these metrics is something that maybe the business has had issues with in the past. We want to focus our efforts on this by reviewing this information with the metrics to watch. Okay. And then the last one, it's going to show us our actions dashboard. Now, this is something that's totally different, right? So the 2 above is going to show our data as we see there, but the one below is actually going to show our action performance. So what do I mean by action performances? This is a dashboard that's showing us, are people being accountable for what has been assigned to them? So you're a user, you have something that's been a task that's been assigned to you as a user. So you have an action out there. Get it done within a realistic time bound. So you get that action completed, and this is going to measure that performance for each of those key metrics. So this is a totally different type of dashboard, but just looking at the key actions taken on that data. And this was makes the data stand out differently, once again, than the actual spreadsheet. Now, dashboards are often called a report, right? But not all reports are dashboards. I'll repeat that again. A dashboard is often called a report. However, not all reports are dashboards. There's a difference. Report can only collect and show data in a single place. So if a manager wants to know how the sales has grown over the last period, which region is most profitable, or where you can get the data, this report can answer it, right? Because it's just going to collect the data and show it in a single place. It will simply report all the relevant sales of data. This report then is used to create a dashboard in Excel or PowerPoint that will aid the decision making. So there's, once again, some steps there. Now, on the flip side is a dashboard, on the other hand, will instantly answer those questions of which regions are performing better and what products should the management focus on. So this is what I see from all the businesses that we work with today. Majority of the organizations we work with today are too busy in the everyday tactical, right? Every day dealing with the in and out stuff. Now, if you're a manager, director, or even C-level, you should not be worrying about the everyday tactical. And we find that too many times that even in 2019, there's still clients or businesses that still operate this way today. They should be more focused on the strategy of the business, right? Growing profit margins and stuff like that for the organizations, right? Or getting the right people in the right places, stuff like that, versus the everyday tactical stuff. So the dashboard will help with this. Why? Because it's going to focus their efforts on where they need to focus the business on. Also, too, the dashboards, they can be static or interactive. So static meaning it sits there, nothing happens, you just see the data for that specific time bound. Or interactive, where I can actually drill into it. I can make selections, change the views, the data will automatically, dynamically update, which is something you want and you expect. Now, we have an understanding the difference between, once again, a report and a dashboard. So I would put Excel into the report category and then a dashboard into, of course, the dashboard. So there's a difference there. So now the next big takeaway from this as well is who, how, frequent. Okay, so who will use this dashboard? So once again, we're educating you on the benefits of transitioning from Excel to a dashboard. So who will use this, right? Typically a manager. We're probably interested in seeing the insights that the dashboard can provide for the team. Or some data analysts. They might need more detail for their work, which that dashboard can help with that as well. So based on who uses your dashboard, you need to structure the data and the final output. Now, that is going to be a key phrase right there. Based on who uses your dashboard, you need to structure the data and the final output. I don't know how many times myself and different colleagues at our organization have went to go audit the company and we're looking at their data or their information and it's not for the right audience, right? If I'm in a meeting full of engineers talking about maybe let's say a product, specific product for this engineering group, and they're coming to me about the operations, or this dashboard is showing different operations, maybe even some finance in there, how does that benefit my team or my group or specifically my time? We spend too much time in meetings with the wrong people with the wrong data. And once again, that dashboard can be structured with the right data with the final output for our organization. Next is who and how frequent. If your dashboards are updated weekly or monthly, right? That's key. How is this data going to be updated? you should just create a plug and play model where you simply copy and paste the data and it will update automatically. Or if you have a dashboard, you can simply dynamically change that frequency to see the data. Okay. Now, if it's a one-time exercise, you can leave out some automation and just do it manually. We find sometimes it's better to do it manually. And why do I say that in 2019? Because with the amount of data that we have today in businesses, it's overwhelming. You're getting so much data that's coming in, but you're not taking any accountability around it because there's so much data. Now, if it's manual and I'm the owner of that data, I know when I put that number in, I'm going to know whether it's red or green, right? So when I have my meeting, I'm going to make sure I'm prepared to have the right conversations to justify that data. And that's very key because when it's automated, no one's going to take the ownership of that, right? It's going to be, oh, that was IT. Yeah, we pulled that from SAP or Oracle or this system or our data warehouse, right? We pulled it in there. We pulled in, as people say, big data. We pulled all that information in, but now we don't know who's responsible for what. Or some people can't even answer it. I mean, I can't tell you how many meetings I've sat in and people can't even answer why is that area red or green, all right? So next, outlining the structure of the dashboard. Once you have the data in Excel today, you need to know exactly what you can do and what you cannot use, okay? So it's best when you're creating these dashboards, so whenever I'm going to talk to somebody about making a dashboard, I need to know exactly what I can and cannot use in the dashboard. At this second time, I might circle back to the stakeholders. Maybe it could be some of my team members. It could be someone above in a different part of the organization. So I create a simple outline. And once again, these are tips. We're educating you with the information. These are tips to pass along the information. The purpose of this is to make sure that your stakeholder understands what type of dashboard he or she can expect from the available data. That's what we're expecting from there. And it also helps the stakeholder suggest how I can add more time for them, how they can get value added from that. So here's an example of that right here. That easy to understand scorecard. So I want a simple scorecard right here, highlighting my key areas. As you can see on the scorecard, quickly visually, we see quality, cost, productivity. Each are key areas there. All our different targets, who our owners are, how we're reviewing that data, along with the data there. So it's an easy to understand scorecard. Even if you're not familiar with our business or our team, you can quickly see how they're performing in each of those categories. So imagine Excel, imagine this easy to read scorecard, right? Very easy to see that difference. When you have the dashboard, you can use that information and transform it into KPI metrics. So that's transitioning. So I just went from kind of a scorecard or Excel to maybe a dashboard that looks like this, right? It's highlighting all my different metrics in my key area there, showing us the different trends and the goals and stuff like that. Then also too, you can use a different type of dashboard. A dashboard that's going to highlight your metric performance, right? Which is showing me right there. So this is a dashboard that's going to benefit me. So my team right there, I see for my team, we have 11 metrics that are in the red, 4 in the yellow, and 19 in the green. Where do I need to focus my efforts on? It's right there in this dashboard. Versus Excel, I would have to go through a whole bunch of different headers, columns, or write some type of query that pulls all this data that puts it there. And I don't know how many times people spend hours creating these dashboards as far as Excel, right, to try to see that data there when this can easily be done when it's already done for you. You can just focus your efforts on how to report on that. Then to take it a step further, you can see how the actions are performing to that data, right? So past due, upcoming, completed, even closed. So you have all that information there. Next thing, right? So looking at a dashboard using your KPI metrics. So looking on the left-hand side, you can have something simple as, here's all my data. Here's all my details. We can all see there's no data on the left, or it's just strictly colors. It's giving me a quick pulse of the business, how we're doing at that time. And frankly, this is quite easy because we're looking at 3 different sites or 3 different departments at one time, because we can see whether we're winning or losing there. And if I want to drill down to the data, I can click on it and it might give me something like we see on the right-hand side. Now I can actually see the actual numbers that coincide with that to help me make my decisions. So looking at the first line there under spent on equipment repairs, we're red there. So I might need to focus my efforts there for that particular meeting. So visually, this gives me my details in a simplistic view for the organization. So another takeaway, some dashboard don'ts. The number 1 rule, and that's why I have it number 1, and it's in bold. Do not clutter your dashboards. Back to the statement earlier, too much data, not enough detail, or not enough focus or clarity, right? So we want to understand what the message is for this dashboard. And as I mentioned, just because you have the data doesn't mean it needs to go all in one dashboard, which a lot of people do. 2, remember the objective of the dashboard is to help identify a problem or aid in taking decisions. Okay, so identifying a key problem or aid in taking decisions. So this is what I mean, out of that tactical and more into that strategy. And then the last one, keep it relevant. Keep the data relevant. Remove anything that doesn't belong there. All right? Because I even have to ask myself, is it just good to have? Or is it necessary? Or is it just pretty to have there? So these are all things you want to do, and you want to remove all those good to haves. You want to make a simple, focused dashboard highlighting the key metrics or KPIs for your organization. Next one. If you want to take your data to the next level, you need a dashboard, right? Microsoft Excel is used by millions of people to track, sort data, right, for different operations. And don't get me wrong, it's a great tool. I still use it, right? Our colleagues here still use it, and other people in the world still use it. But it's just one piece of the story, okay? Now, even though it comes with many features to get started with your data, whatever, using our platform, Visuon, it takes your analysis to the next level. Why? Because not only do you have the dashboards in place, you have the accountability and responsible people for that data, which is key. Now, if you want to take a test run of seeing what that looks like, you can see your action, right? You can see your data. If you want to see it in there, there you go. You can see your data in action. Shoot myself an email at that email address that you see there. Send me a scorecard. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what it will look like in a dashboard, and it will help you drive your business. Make the right decisions. Have the right conversations with the right people. All right? So basically that concludes our webinar for today of how to transition from Excel to dashboards. As I mentioned from the key takeaways, right? There are a lot of things that organizations struggle with. And one is definitely being in communication, which I think most do. But the next thing is having the data. Just because you have the data doesn't mean it needs to all go in one place. All right, so the key takeaways from the don'ts is make sure you have the right data. Make sure you have the data that's going to identify a problem or aid in taking decisions. And then the last one is keep it relevant and move anything that doesn't belong there. All right. So thank you again for attending this session. As you can see, the email is there if you want to see that data in action. So thank you for all you that joined the call today. If you want to see that data in action, send an email, right? Send your spreadsheet. You can scrub your data, okay? Send it to us, and we can help you transform that data into a dashboard. Once again, my name is Michael Watkins. If you guys have any questions, you can reach me there at that email there. And thank you again for your time, and have a great weekend.